Hey Tyson, we're back again. Uh, Today our subject's going to be about the Jaguar rebranding, and as of right now, I read an article that it says like it was that their sales are down 97.5%. Um, so my take is on this is that they're trying to change their demographic of buyer on who used to buy the Jaguar. Um, what do you think? Okay, before we get into the rebranding, who was Jaguar's demographic?
Rich, middle-aged white men,
Yep.
cis white men, if we're going to be honest.
And and at least what I see with the F pace, and this is, I'm going to be honest because I bought the F pace, and like I said, I think it's one of the best vehicles I ever had so far. But I'm being honest here. I bought it for my girl to drive, right? And like I said, because I feel like I'm cool with driving whatever. I'll drive a clunker. It doesn't matter to me. But it's really nice to have like a family vehicle for one. We can all get in there and feel comfortable. We take it on vacations. It's really nice. It has a lot of oomph and everything like that. And it's luxurious. It's not top of the end like luxury like a Bentley or anything like that.
Sure.
But it's that next level. It's kind of like what I say, an entry level luxury, affordable luxury, At least that's what I think. And I see more women driving Jaguars, at least out here in Vegas, than I do men. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my wife's wanted a Jaguar since before you got yours. Actually, she was pretty jealous of yours. She's always kind of liked them, especially the SUVs and stuff like that. So I think overall, yeah, there's quite a big demographic for the newer cars. I'm leaning a little too forward. Anyways, I think there's a newer demographic for the newer cars. I think when I think of Jaguar, and it's the old, uh, the older cars where it's the British guy with the hat and stuff. But yeah, the newer cars, they are for everybody, as they should be, to be honest. And I guess when I think of Jaguar, I just think of the classic cars, and that's maybe part of the problem.
Okay, you think of more like the racing history, like back in like the
Yeah.
'60s and the styling, Austin Powers. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but I mean, as a modern one, I mean, because if you're in business, this is what you want to have sales with. Um, I think they're jumping the gun. So now this is kind of what we think what their demographic currently was. Now they're trying to shift over, and from what they were telling me, from what I was listening to and everything, they want to shift over to a younger demographic. And I think that's kind of the wrong way to go because Jaguar has a huge history of just a certain demographic. Now they're trying to change it over to a younger demographic. We were just talking about the Corvette last episode and how they wanted to get younger people in there. But it's kind of the same thing when I still go to car shows and everything. Who's showing off the brand new Corvette? It's the old guys. The younger guys are driving them. Okay. But now with this one, they're full line. They're switching over all electric. Okay. I have no problem with electric cars, but I don't think electric is the way to go with, the Jaguar for one, of at least all their brands. I think they should have introduced a few here and there because they did have an electric vehicle. And I think they called it E-Pace or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but they did have an electric vehicle. And I think they're jumping the gun. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, did you see some of the test photos?
I didn't see any test photos. I do know that they're going towards electric, all electric. I guess my comment to the jumping the gun or my rebuttal to that is we have a couple of car brands out there now that are doing well that are all EV. I mean, we can obviously point out Tesla, but we've got the Lucid Air, we've got the why can't I think of the truck all of a sudden? Um, the truck, but we've Rivian, yeah, Rivian, yeah. So we've got these all electric brands, and they're doing well overall. So I think the market's there. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I do think when it comes to the rebrand, also, let's be honest, the younger generation's the future. They're going to grow up. If you get a generation hooked on your car when you're 18, 16, 22, you're going to love that car the rest of your life. So is it rough for the people right now that they have been marketing to? Possibly. From a business point of view, I know they've lost sales, but I think there's more to the lost sales than just that. I think it's actually maybe smart. Yeah, it's going to hurt now, but it's rebuilding them for the future. And I do think that the sales numbers that I looked up and I think you saw was like 97.5% or something like that, some crazy number. But they did stop production for a year. You stop production of cars, people aren't going to buy cars. So your sales, you don't make something, you can't sell them. Of course, your sales go down. So I think ultimately we won't see the effect of the rebrand until probably 2-3 years down the road when they're actually making these cars and they're out on the road. But I did see something else I found interesting. There was some polls out there, and they say that perception of Jaguar is actually up 20% as a luxury car brand since the rebrand. So it is almost working in their favor for what they want to do.
I can see that in a way because like when I see Teslas, the insides are really nice. I mean they really up their game there. I mean, the thing is, I think it's more of the style cues that people are turned off on.
Sure.
Because the one they showed, it was like bright, okay, for one, and it's just, I don't know, looked like something from like Back to the Future Part 2, and it just looked like, okay, looked like something maybe a little too much, and then they now I this is how I feel though. The Jaguar brand with that Jaguar, just like, with the little teeth sticking out, they got rid of that. It is now just kind of two little J's in a circle, and we'll show it, but it's just like, I'm like going, what are you doing? That's like a classic like logo. I know the rebranded, but you're just like going, scratching my head, going, what?
Yeah. I actually kind of like it looking at it. Do I think Jaguar when I see it? No, absolutely not. It'll take a while before I make that adjustment. I'm sure I'll be driving down the road in 3 years and I'll see a car go by. I'm like, what is that? As I kind of look at it, and it'll take a minute. Also, oh, that's a Jag, because it's different. But overall, colors are becoming a thing. I mean, I saw a chrome and pink car literally today, an SUV. It was chrome middle, pink like fenders and stuff. And so, it looked a little crazy to me, but right, exactly. So, yeah, there's weird wraps in these colors. And I mean, we can take it back. I mean, pink Cadillacs were a thing. Let's be honest. Right. So, right. No, not pink itself. I'm more so saying we see these off colors, and I think we are seeing more expression in colors again where, yeah, I like my car to be black or gray because it's boring. Right. But yeah, bright colors are definitely becoming a thing again. And they recognize that. And if they recognize that, then once again, go after that. Right. It's business wise, I can't disagree with it. Do I like it? No, but I probably wasn't going to buy a Jaguar anyway. So. Well, she wants one, but she might actually she likes pink things. Or if they have a turquoise, I'm not going to hear the end of it. They better not have a turquoise.
Speaking of what, I'm looking at a turquoise car myself. But anyway, that's another story. So anyway, I think overall, I don't know. At least from my point of view, I think they're going in the wrong direction. Because I've always liked Jaguars. I've always, they might not have always been like the best top tier, whatever, but it was just, they had that European flair, and and it now just seems like a run of the mill, everyday like it just looks like every other car out there. It's just like going. Does
I
that make
think
sense?
almost every other car out there looks like every other car out there now. I think that's why Tesla made the Cybertruck as ugly as they did, was to try to make it look different. I don't agree with that either, but I do think that ultimately in the end, aerodynamics and stuff when it comes to making a passenger vehicle, especially if it's SUVs and stuff, but any vehicles, we've kind of got it figured out. And because of that, unfortunately, we lose a lot of the fun design. I mean, you even go look at all the electric cars are kind of following the same thing. All the SUVs, besides the different grille, look the same now. I mean,
And that's what I'm afraid of.
right. It's kind of sad, but it is what it is, and it's only going to be these small little off browns that are trying to do something different. So although we express ourselves through bright colors in our cars, yeah, you line them all next to each other and you'll have a different fender, a different grille. Maybe the hood looks slightly different, but the same shape basically for all of them. That's what it is.
Now, if you was running the company, and this is before the rebrand, would you even think of doing a rebrand like that?
Honestly, hell yeah. Because my demographic is dying out. When I say my demographic, meaning the demographic they're going after, I'm going to offend that demographic. Let's be honest. Some of that demographic is offended that they've rebranded because it's not their Jag anymore. But once again, as a business and the business I've worked in and stuff, but one thing I've learned, if you're not willing to change, you will die as a business.
But you're the people, okay, because they're tied with Land Rover.
Yep.
Who's buying these? These aren't really younger people. I mean, there might be some in their 30s, but they're trying to push even further down into their 20s. And these cars they're still going to want a premium price on that. There's not too many people that are going to be, in that age range that can really afford, a 60 plus $1,000 car, and I mean, all cars are getting expensive. Don't get me wrong, but it's I think they're pricing their new demographic out of the space, and that's why the older demographic, they can afford it, because they've worked hard, they've saved up money, and gotten there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I see what you're saying, and I don't disagree whatsoever. But I do think my counter thought to that, if I were A, running the company, or B, even just as of now, is appeal to the demographic before they become your demographic. We wanted Corvettes before we could afford them. We wanted those type of cars. There's obviously a subsection of the populace out there that's got the money to buy this whenever they want, right? But a lot of us, like you and me, yeah, we finally got to the status to where we can afford one of these. But did you like Jaguar when you were 18?
Some the older stuff, like you said, the 60s stuff, yeah.
Could you have gotten one when you were 18?
The stuff in like the 90s, not so much, but
not so much. But you couldn't have gotten XJR. Anyways, you didn't want to. Could you have gotten one at that age?
Nope.
Okay, but those cars appealed to you to where when you finally got to where you could afford one, you thought, I'll go get a Jaguar, right? And you did. So by appealing to the new generation, they're not making sales now. They're future proofing. That's my thoughts.
And one more thing though is because Jaguar's been bought, basically they have a Ford engine in them now, and stuff like that. So they've been bought and rebranded a few other times throughout time, but this one's just a huge drastic change. And I don't, not to get too political, but if you watch that commercial and everything, you're like looking at it going, what the heck is this? But because they were trying to be edgy, and maybe that turned off a lot of people too.
Yeah, I think it did. I actually thought that's where we might lead with at the beginning. I'm glad you didn't.
But I want to keep politics and stuff.
Yeah, I did too.
But I'm just kind of leaving it at that.
Right. I do think there's a small subsection that drove off. I don't have any problems with the ad. Obviously, I don't think you do either. I think my biggest problem with the ad is they didn't show cars, right? And you're a car company, right? That first ad, I think that's my call out is you're a car company. We want to see the cars. I don't care about
Yeah,
whatever else you
because
got
they were
going
like
on
showing
there.
like people were like on the runway, like strut your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no cars whatsoever. And once again, I don't care
They did the reveal
about
at the end of it, but
right, but not really. Not really. They blew it. Like I remember seeing it. I'm like, what am I watching? And it once again, it's just if it's a car thing, I expect to see more cars. And either than that, I do think there's some, and there's been a lot of people that think we're gonna say it, it's too woke, or I'm gonna say it, and I don't think that's the big deal here. I think there's some people that are driven away from that. Do I think that's actually what the 97.5% is, or even close? No, not at all. I think those people they're looking for that kind of stuff anyways, and if that's why you're making a decision on a car is literally because they did a commercial you don't agree with, um, then they probably didn't worry about you anyways in that commercial. And that's just my thoughts there. I'm not trying to get political, but I do think that there was more outcry for that commercial than there should have been.
yeah,
And I think the sales numbers are not related, in my opinions. They might be a little bit, but I doubt it's that. I think it's more so there's no cars being made. The rebrand itself, like the logo, yeah, I'm gonna miss the Jaguar. Things like that. I think that's possibly what's hurting them now. But overall, it's a future proof. I think we'll see them bounce back. It's just they're gonna be crippled for a little bit.
we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell, right?
Right. So this is going to be my final thoughts, and then I'll let you end off on your final thoughts. But uh, my final thoughts is because I really like this last kind of styling of Jaguar. It just kind of really fit. And to be honest, I was looking at a Porsche. Was it how you say it, Macan?
Sounds right. I can't pronounce half of those.
I know. So it was either between that or the Jaguar, and we ended up taking the Jag. I mean, because they were priced right about the same.
Right.
So, and I really like the styling. I kind of want the F type, the sports car, but I don't quite fit. I'm a taller guy. I'm 6'3". I've sat in my buddies, and he had a convertible top, and my head was like I had a little bubble on the top. So it felt a little cramped. But I really like the car. The car is awesome. It drove great and everything like that. I really like the styling, But sometimes I just don't fit in a lot of things. But other than that, I'm gonna miss it. Because I thought they were going in the right direction with styling and stuff, and then after the rebrand, I, you know, I just kind of lost interest in it. So then I'll leave it off with you on your little final thoughts, and then we'll say adios.
Yeah. So I guess I've not been as big of a Jaguar fan as you. I like the old stuff, the Austin Power stuff, if we want to call it that, the old racing heritage stuff. Those I love. As for the new ones, the only new Jag I've liked probably in the last 20 years is the F-Type. And not enough that I like it more than anything else. So overall, in my opinion, I think maybe it's due, but I'm not a Jag guy. So in that sense, maybe the demographic they're trying to chase, kind of, obviously younger than me, but they're looking to try to expand. But they are, I think, somewhat alienating their current fan base. Whether it needs to be done or not, they're alienating their current fan base just a little bit. But yeah, that's all I've got to say is overall, I guess if I would have came between the Porsche or the Jag, I would have bought the Porsche. So that should make it pretty clear to the audience that maybe I'm not the expert on this myself, but yeah.
The main reason was maintenance costs.
Yeah, the Porsche, I mean, just like anything. Although I'm sure the Jags are going to be like that too, specialty parts, stuff like that.
They have a tax on them, the sport
Yeah.
or whatever you want to call them, luxury tax or whatever, but not as bad as the Porsche. But
Yeah, they're all going to have it. But so I can see that. If that was literally the call, then I think you made the right decision. But if you're just going off a name, once again, I like Porsche. I don't want a Porsche SUV either, though, to be honest. So,
Well, yeah. Anyway, but so what do you guys think out in the internet there? Leave us a comment and everything. It'd be interesting to see what other people are thinking. So go ahead and leave us a comment, and of course you can email us. If you want a topic, if you want our opinion on anything, and of course we got our other channels. I got right up here.
oh, you're gonna do that? Cool. The diddly doops.
Yep, and then Tyson has his. So we got our other channels. Of course, those will be in the links below too. And I guess we'll end off there.